rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Tim. First on the agenda, minutes, July 27th. Questions, comments, motions?
Motion to accept the minutes of the July 27th meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes, July 27th. All those in favor? Any old business? If no old business, North J Sewer Project change order. Anybody have any other questions to Mark, comments?
Brief explanation. Yeah. So there are 4 parts to this change order. The first one is demolition and removal of the chlorination building, price of $47.80. That's where we housed all of our chemicals previously. There's an aeration tank below that. That would include removing the top section of that. We would supply the fill, the town would, they would fill it in, compact it, cap off the pipe, and go to the brook. Set the fiberglass structure off to one side. And Shiloh was up there today, and that may be something that the rec department can use, the actual building itself. But the foundation will be demolished and filled in for that price. The second one is the demolition of the PTU, which stands for Package Treatment Unit, where the old treatment plant used to sit. And they would remove all of the metal that's inside there, all of the lighting, all of the electrical, that sort of thing. Cut out the interior retaining walls, leave us some walls in there that we could use possibly in the future when we turn that into a compost facility, is the plan in the future. And the town would supply the fill, but they would put the fill in and they would compact the fill. I was working with Johnny today on where we're going to get that from. We're going to just use the tank on fill probably, and then just put good gravel on the top surface of that. We'll leave it a little bit low, a few inches low. So if in the future we want to either add hot top in there for a surface, to just a hard surface in there, or if we want to add cement, that way we don't have to put it in and take it out later. So be a little bit of a step down going into it. We just put a ramp in there out of earth and material. Along that line, I did get an email from the University of Maine Orono System, the civil engineering department. It looks like they may be picking up project. They're very interested in it. They're going to put it out to the students, and the thought is that either one or a group of students will take that project. So we may get some free engineering to look into the possibility of a compost facility there sometime in the future. And that would be just for the Livermore Falls sludge is what I'm anticipating at this time. The ductwork modification in the chemical room, I explained that to Terry and Shiloh. They were up this morning. Did I show you that too, Tim? Basically, it was a bad design that went out to bid. Didn't actually circulate the air in the room, so we put in some extra ductwork, brought in fresh air from the gable end through the attic, down into the opposite corner to clear the ventilate air in there. That's what that was for. That's actually already been installed. There was some confusion. That was thought to have been part of change order number 5, I believe. But change order number 5 was actually the modifications to the radiant heat system. So they thought that the ductwork was already approved and they put it in. That was it had to be done one way or the other, but so that is in. And the vents and the air release of the manholes, when we changed the design of the line coming down the rail trail, we engineered in what we thought was going to work appropriately, but ultimately there are 2 manholes that house a pressure relief valve and air release valve. So as the water comes down through, the pressure that's built up is supposed to evacuate into the manhole and then dissipate. But these manholes have watertight covers on them, so there's no way for the air to go out or in. And basically, once the air is either used up or the manhole is pressurized to a certain level, it doesn't work anymore. So we put a vent off the backside of 2 of those manholes. The third manhole along the system already had a vent on it. So those have been installed as well because, to be quite honest with you, it made the system work. We had to leave the manhole covers ajar in order for it to work when we ran a test. And then when we picked the lines as well. So now the manhole covers are secure. So that's a quick rundown of what we have. The total of the change order, I believe, is about $65,515. And this will keep us still within budget. As far as the change orders go, we're $106,375 to the good.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
So, if you do this change order, then you're also going to have an expense of building, like doors for cold storage that you talked
That's
about.
right. This does not include building anything. In other words, once we get into this tank and stabilize everything that's there, get the metal out that we're not going to be using in the future, this is going to become like I guess I can't come up with anything other than a cold storage area because it's not going to have heat. My plan is just to have a couple of lights in the ceiling so we can see at night in there, but it's mostly going to be daytime operations if we did compost. And the other thing would be to have a few 110 outlets there and a garage door and the roof system put in. So there will be another change order coming for that portion, but Jordan Lumber hasn't got that far yet. They'd like to get going on the demolition at this point.
So on the composting, I've got like 8 questions. So on the composting, you've got to have the University of Engineer it probably, and then our engineering firm that we're using concur with it.
Yes.
But then we don't have an agreement with Livermore Falls on like a joint deal, so.
That's correct. This, and whether it's a joint deal or not, we're sending our sludge, well, not now, we're sending everything from North J down there, but
Yeah.
when we did, when the sludge is dewatered down there, we're paying about somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 a year for disposal of that sludge. And it's trucked to Hawk Ridge for disposal. And not only are we paying for that to be done, but there's no money coming back. So they're actually selling the product up there. So they're getting the revenue from it on both ends.
So are we going to have to hire a new person up there to work the composting?
I would not think so. It's not a high labor, it's mostly cooking time. You basically batch this stuff up and then once a week you turn it over and aerate it some more and get the temperature up and it cooks for a while. It's how you kill the bacteria in it. And then you have a saleable product. And as I told Terry, you could either take that product, if we get to that point and we actually make it a compost facility, we can use it for our highway departments on their roadside projects. It's a material that can be used. It's rendered inert. And you can mix it with 1 part mold, 1 part sand to, get more out and more from it. That would provide the nutrients for it. Or you can just use it straight out. It would be real similar to the product they're producing in Rumford, and Rumford can't keep it on hand. They sell it as fast as they make it.
My big thing is, if we end up spending, it's going to be at least $100,000 when you're all to do the rest of it.
To convert the building, you mean?
Yeah, probably another 30 or 40.
Yeah, that's probably realistic.
So it's 100,000, and then
Yeah, if
to
you just-
compost it, then you get the composting going, and then you probably end up adding another person, and that's going to be another
I don't think
60.
you're going to add another person, because keep in mind, right now, we have 2 in J. We have 3 in Livermore Falls. The talk is, if we go down there, we would all stay at this point through the construction period.
Yep.
So we're hoping once construction is done and things slow down, perhaps we may be able to get rid of one of those positions through retirement and actually possibly relabel one of the positions so that we can have a mechanic there, is what my thought would be. But we haven't got that far yet in our talks. But whether we combine the Livermore Falls or not, it would be a great asset to both communities to have a compost facility there, even if we may remain 2
But
separate entities.
Don't they own the compost? or the sludge? Would
They
they
do.
bring it to us?
They
Or-
do. See, we would be a municipality, we would be working with them, we could put something into the interlocal agreement to take care of that. Just like we send our wastewater down there, they could send their sludge up here. And I'm just speaking, what's in the back of my mind, how it could work, whether we combine or we don't combine. It could work either way.
But unless we change the interlocal, we can't get the sludge.
Right. But it would be in both towns' best interest to do that because it would be cheaper to do it in-house than have it sent out, if we had a facility for it. And the thing is, our air blowers are already there. A lot of the storage area for the bulk material, that's what this would be.
All right.
And the walls are built, when you build something like this, you have to have a wall that you can push against. You ain't gonna push these walls over, they're full of rebar. That's part of the reason why this is so expensive. $27,000 of Jordan's estimate for that PTU is just to cut the concrete. There's more rebar than there is concrete in that thing.
So I'm
And
having a
then-
hard time not just filling it with sand and put a layer of concrete on it and call it good and,
Yep, but you're gonna have an expense doing that as well. You're gonna have to take the top off, so you'd have to most likely get a crane in to do that. And then you're gonna have a pile of sand sitting in the yard that you can never use for anything. And if we do this now, my thought is we're going to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, we're gonna get 3/5 grant money for this as well. So ultimately, if you were to spend $100,000 for this, if you look at it over the 20-year period, you're looking at a debt service payment if you use all of your grant and loan money of about $130,000 a year. So if you didn't do this and you saved $100,000, your debt service payment's gonna be $125,000 a year. So you're talking maybe $5,000 a year in debt service payment difference. But if we decide to do this 2 or 3 years down the road, this grant money's gone back because we didn't use it. Now we're paying all of the $100,000. If we spend $100,000 now, $60,000 of it's gonna be from the grant. So really, we're only borrowing $40,000. So the actual payment is only gonna be, you'd say from, say, $128,000 instead of paying $130,000. The grant figures into it that way.
Can we use all the sludge?
What's that?
Can we use all of Livermore Falls up there?
That's what we're looking at doing with the UMO study, yes. Yep. The thing is, they dewater usually once every 2 to 3 weeks. And it takes, if I'm correct, usually I think it's 21 days of cooking. So we would have to store some before we batch the next batch. Typically, you'd have 2 different piles going at a time. So,
Which
this is a feasibility portion of the UMO study. And I've got to get some data to them, that's what the letter was, they want to get some more data from us on how much sludge they have, what its percent solid is and like that, so I plan on getting that to them tomorrow on my second day of vacation.
Anybody else, questions, comments?
So you promise we're not gonna have to hire another person?
I don't see as you would.
All right.
I really don't.
You're gonna have extra labor somewhere.
Yeah.
I agree. You got
I
to,
just
Oh, like
don't,
the 8
I
hours.
think that if you have that many people at Livermore Falls, yes, there may be a chance that you would be laying one of the people off after once the project is done, because you'd have enough work for the full staff. But the whole thought of doing this isn't to increase staff, no. Definitely not. My thought is if we've got grant money available and the DEP is willing to let us use it for this, we should take advantage of it.
Do we need any permits?
We will once we get to the composting, I'm sure. I'm sure you have to license a compost facility. They've been aware of what this thought has been right along. This isn't anything that I haven't shared with them. Randy Pierce with DEP, she's aware of what we're looking to do. And she's the one with the money.
Crickets.
And we are meeting with her on Thursday. We have probably the final construction meeting, and she's coming up to tour the facilities, and afterwards sit down with Lisa, Shiloh, and I to go over, there's a possibility of having to extend our bond period to make sure that we can get this all done, so she's gonna explain all of that to us, and we can go over this compost facility thing with her, but she is up to speed on it. She knows why we're doing this portion, what this change order is about, and she has looked at the demolitions prior to, so.
Have you talked to any of the Mitchell boys to see how much rebar is in there?
Oh, I know how much rebar's in there.
Okay.
I've got all the pictures when we were building it,
All
I
right.
took pictures and I showed those to Jordan Lumber, so they're aware.
Okay.
Danny's gone through all the pictures and she had them with glass and whatnot, so. Yep, that's why the price was so high. And they're not just using, my understanding is they're not gonna just use like a saw blade and chainsaw with a wheel on it. They actually attach something to this wall and they make a perfectly straight cut so that when we go to, put a door in there, my thought is we'll put probably a 12-foot wide by 10 to 12-foot high door, overhead door into it, so.
Cable.
Usually
It's a cable unit, goes back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it myself, Tom, so I don't know. Morris
How much
explained
is
to
that?
me that it actually attaches.
How much? More than 40?
Probably, just to buy it. It's a process. That's a nice job, huh?
Any other questions, comments? Motions?
Motion to approve the change orders. Second.
Motion made and seconded to change orders for $65,515. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Next being Municipal Association annual election. We're looking at the ballot. Vote for the vice president, there's only one running. The executive committee is vote for 3, and there's 3 listed, so. I don't know if anybody's got any other questions or comments on. If not, I'll make the motion to have the town manager vote on this and sign it and send it in.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all those in favor? Any other business? Dates, August 10th, select board meeting at 6, August 18th, RSU 73 budget vote, Spruce Mountain Elementary School noon to 6, town office is closed at noon. August 24th, select board meeting at 6, August 25th, select board meeting for commitment at 3 o'clock
That'll be at the town office. That,
at the town office.
the other ones, through August are here. I'm not sure about September yet, because it depends what they're
But
doing.
the 25th is here, I
Yes.
mean, at the town office.
The 24th is here, the 25th is at the town office, and then the September ones, I don't know yet, because I'm not sure about the school schedule yet.
Do you have a ballpark of what was rolled over?
No, I don't have that.
Okay.
September 14th, select board meeting at 6. September 28th, select board meeting at 6. We'll all be notified where to go.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and seconded.